55 is real. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer for the Athletics. I'm with my co-host Eric O'Flaherty. Hey, welcome to 755 is real, presented by Topps. Check out Topps Project 70, celebrating 70 years of Topps baseball cards. The baseball cards. If you know baseball cards, you know Topps is the one and only. It's been the kings of baseball cards forever, since I was a little kid at least, and that's forever. What's up, Eric?
Not much, man. It's hot out here. How you doing?
It's getting warm here. The humidity's going up. I finally had to turn the AC on. I withstand it as long as I can without turning on my old AC because I want it to last a little longer. But it's getting there now. We're getting up, upper 80s with humidity. That's like, okay, time for the AC. But it's gonna be
That
nice during the
humidity,
Dodgers
man.
series.
That humidity in Atlanta. I don't like living in it. I love playing in it, but I didn't like living in it. Going
Yeah.
outside and being sweaty.
Well, we've been lucky this year because it has not arrived until now. It's still not real bad, but it was great in May, man. We had most of the time our weather's more like San Diego in May. It felt like, you know,
Yeah.
70s and not very humid. Not San Diego, but closer to that than Atlanta. But it's been nice. It shouldn't be bad for the Dodgers series. We're going to get rain next week. Ah, but anyway, it's each week we start this thing talking about the Braves, and we're kind of they've been in that spinning your wheels sort of season where you think maybe every time it looks like they might be starting to put together a little run because they haven't had a run yet, where they go
No.
5-7 games where they go, okay, here you go. They haven't had one of those yet. They haven't had a really long bad one either. I guess that's the only good thing is they haven't had one where they lose 7 in a row either. But it seems like every time they play a good series, they turn it around and play a terrible one, or they play a team that they have to. Like we said, they needed to win at least 3 out
Yeah.
of 4 from the Nationals. It's tough to sweep anybody, but they needed to win 3 out of 4 from the Nationals. They won 2. They split with the Nationals. They lost the middle 2 games, which in most years would be okay, but the Nationals are not very good this year, man. And right now, without their pitching, with Strasburg back to being hurt all the time. He got hurt, lasted 1 or 2 innings.
Corbin hasn't been good.
Corbin hasn't been good. ERA's over 5. Strasburg is not Strasburg. So this is the time, where they need to be feasted upon, and they didn't do that. So they had 2 good games against them and 2 pretty bad ones.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them just because I know there's still 4 months left, and I don't know. You get so used to being patient as a player going through your seasons. If you're, individually, if your numbers suck in June, you still got time, and as a team, you still got time to get it going. They don't really scare me. I'm not feeling like there's any panic, but it's just been one of those years where they just haven't been able to get going, and they can't get going. But I mean, I feel like with this team, once they do get going, it's not really going to matter who they play. It sucks to go through some of these spurts and patches where you feel like you could have racked up some easy wins and not capitalize on it. But I could also see them getting hot and taking teams like the Mets that they're going after and sweeping them, doing things like that. So I mean, I'm not worried about them, but it's getting closer and closer to the time where you would be like, shit, maybe this isn't their year.
Yeah.
Like maybe they just don't have it, but you just forget there's still 4 months left.
But you could tell it's a little different in the comments from like Snit when he
Yeah.
talking about the frustration, the
It's
other day.
frustrating.
Talking about it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy getting through this. It's hard.
No.
But he said he's been through worse as a manager, worse as a third base coach. But at the same time, you could tell they're all frustrated because
They're frustrated.
they know they're so much better than this. But you can't keep saying that because you have to do it. But they do. They know, and they know you can't keep saying it, which is why
Well,
they're also frustrated. Keep answering the same questions.
a game away from the World Series last year.
Yeah.
The year
High
before you go into
expectations.
playoffs, the year before you win the division, like they've set the bar extremely high and never really. I mean, the last 3 years, it's just been on. I mean,
Yeah.
like just magical wins, comeback wins. Seems like when somebody slumped or a portion of the team was struggling in the past, the bullpen would be lights out, or the starters would pick them up. They were really good at picking each
Yep.
other up and kind of
Yep.
covering up their flaws. And it's like this year's, it's just felt like whatever area has been down has been the area that's cost them, whether it's the pen or the starters or the lineup not hitting. Like it just hasn't come together like it seemed to just flow in the past. But I'm still not worried about them. I'm kind of just waiting on it.
It seems like to your point, it seems like that area they're not hitting on all cylinders, obviously, but it seems like the area that's not doing well at any given time is
It's the
doing
most
really
important.
poorly.
Yeah.
Really poorly. So it's hard for the pitching to overcome the offense
Yeah.
when they're scoring one run, when
Yeah.
they get shut out. And it's hard for the offense, which isn't what it was last year with Freddie not going yet. And some other guys are going now. They got 3 or 4 guys going instead of one, like they did in April most of the month. But the offense isn't scoring enough runs, like 6 or 7 runs, where you can
make up for
most nights. And then the bullpen has made a huge difference, because all those games last year where you could count on the pen holding the game wherever it was, whether they were to run down or run ahead, the bullpen would hold it right there and give the offense time to pull it out in the 8th, 9th inning. This year, the bullpen's not doing that a lot of days. So,
and the days they do, it happens to be a day the lineup's off.
Yeah.
You wind up losing by those 1 or 2 runs that you keep it within range,
which shows up in that both the offense, the lack of late innings offense, and the lack of bullpen depth show up in that stat, which to me is really troubling. Is that when games are tied at the end of the 7th inning, they're 0-8 in those games this year. The games that they won last year and the year before and the year before.
So you take it, say they're 6-2 or 7-1 in those games, like last year. All of a sudden, you're not even having the conversation we're having right now over just 2 innings worth of the game. 8 times.
If they're 6-2 in those 8 games, they're tied for first place right now.
That's correct. And they easily could be, and they would have been last year.
Yep.
So I mean, they did a good job of covering up some of their flaws by, good timing. A lot of times, like, it's better to just get your ass kicked one day and then win the next day big. They're in every game.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just the way it's going this year. But that's probably the hardest thing as a team, is to just keep this positive mindset. And like Snit said, just grind this out. And, you need good leadership to get through spurts like this.
Yeah. And I think that's where they're missing. I'm missing a couple of guys. I'm not to besmirch the leaders that they have now, but I think they miss a guy like Nick Markakis in the clubhouse right now. I really do. I think, the bullpen definitely misses O'Day, and Melanson, but O'Day was the king of that bullpen as far as the guy that kept everything loose. He was the leader, unquestioned leader of the pen. Melanson, obviously. Yeah. And then even a guy like Tyler Flowers, who has been around the team this year, but you can't be a leader when you're a consultant for the team, Yeah.
No, that's not. You got to be putting a uni on.
And he was a leader as a catcher of both the pitchers when he was when he's talked to the pitchers, that day's pitcher, you go to he was a guy that Travis Darno is more of a leader by example, a veteran, a calming presence. But I thought Tyler was really willing to speak up. He was the kind of guy that would speak up and say something. But Markakis, I think, was really underestimated by a lot of people, how much of a presence he was. Just the ultimate veteran kind of presence in that clubhouse. But, I'm not going to put it all in leadership, because that's obviously not what it is. They got to perform, and just get some guys are just struggling. When they get in the batter's box, they're just struggling. And, and some pitchers are not pitching the way Smiley is not the pitcher that the Braves thought they were getting. So far, he has not been that. So that hurts when he's doing what he's doing. And a couple of relievers struggled at times. So, but anyway, matchups this weekend. Dodgers. Before we get to the kind of performance yesterday, Tucker Davidson had yesterday, is why he keeps giving them hope when a guy that steps up like he did yesterday. But this weekend, starting tonight, Friday night, this is a big series for the Braves. Anticipated. They might look one-sided from the outside, people that, looking at the Dodgers, Braves, where they are right now. But I know the Braves have been in their minds geared up for this thing. So I expect them to come out. The place is going to be packed. There'll be plenty of Dodgers fans there, but there'll still be overwhelming number of Braves fans there. It's not like, the Cubs traveling to Turner Field back in the day when, this is people have been eagerly awaiting the opening of the ballpark to full capacity. So there's a lot of Braves fans at these games, more so than there might be for typical Braves Dodgers, 2 years ago. Julio Urias against Ian Anderson tonight. That's a tasty first game matchup. Mm-hmm. Real good one. That's Urias he's a good pitcher, man. He's a tough matchup for the Braves.
He is. Yeah, because he could throw his fastball any part of the plate. You know, I mean, he pitches righties in real well, which is important, you know, to try to get the righties in this lineup out. I'm impressed with him every time I see him pitch, even being able to come out of the pen in the playoffs and do different stuff that he's done. He's a tough matchup, and I want to see how Ian does seeing the Dodgers after his playoff start against him last year, and them getting a couple of good looks at him. But you know, he's been throwing the ball pretty well. It'll be a good game for sure.
Urias is coming off his career worst performance, by the way. Career high, 7 runs, 6 earned on 11 hits. So I don't know if that's good or bad. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like guys like that rarely have back-to-back bad starts when they're healthy, and by all accounts, he's healthy. But even with that start, he's 7-2 with a 3.61. So that means his ERA was in the mid-2s probably before that start. I haven't looked it up, but he's got 75 strikeouts this year. You know, Ian Anderson has 59, and he's a big strikeout guy. You know, 8-3 Dodgers are 8-3 in his starts. Yeah, you mentioned Ian. He faced the Dodgers in the Game 7 of the NLCS and allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, and 3 innings in that game. He lasted 4 innings his last time out against the Mets. So he and Urias are both coming off for them bad starts. So that'll be interesting. Both of them coming off bad starts, and I know they're both going to be juiced for this one. Game 2 Saturday. This is a nice matchup here. Clayton Kershaw against Charlie Morton.
Some old balls duking it out.
Yeah. Kershaw's been better on the road this year than at home. 4-2 with a 3.06 ERA and 6 starts away from Dodger Stadium. 31 strikeouts, 32 and a third innings on the road. Charlie, Braves have won the last 3 games he started. He's got a 2.50 ERA in that span. I think he's looked a whole lot like the guy they expected to get. You know, we've talked about he's only had 1 bad inning most of his games this year where he struggled. It was only 1 bad inning. He had the 1 game where he had 2 bad innings, but for the most part, it's been 1 bad inning. And I thought that last game where he had struggled 1 inning, then even the next inning where some guys got him, there was some traffic, he got out of it unscathed. So we've talked about his stuff is just nasty for a guy his age. He's got better stuff than Kershaw at this point, I would think.
Well, yeah, Kershaw. You know, but I'm interested to see how if guys in this era learn how to pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
when they lose their velocity,
like
because Kershaw he's done a great job of like mixing in the cutter and figuring out how to get outs. Once he lost that 95 mile an hour fastball, because he's 89, 91 now.
Yeah,
and he knows how to make things look the same. He knows how to throw his cutter off his fastball and curveball off of that. It's cutter slider. I don't know what he calls it, but nice hard breaking ball. He's done a really good job as he ages of adjusting. And I want to see this generation of pitchers now that when they all start throwing instead of 99, when they all start throwing 93. Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see which guys fall off a cliff and which guys make that adjustment, but Kershaw's done a great job of that.
Yeah, I mean, Kershaw always had that lethal curveball, and some of these guys today that just throw hard, and hardly ever, don't throw much off speed. To me, it's going to be a tougher adjustment for them because they have to change their entire mindset,
Yeah.
Because they're throwers more so than pitchers.
Yeah.
Charlotte would be interesting. I mean, he might have to get to age 42 before he'd be like Kershaw now,
It's really crazy. He still has the stuff he has.
Yeah.
37.
Upper 90s.
Yeah.
Mid upper 90s.
Smooth and easy. I mean, he's not like, he doesn't look like he's humping up to get it there either. I mean, it just comes out nice and smooth.
He's not falling off the mound, grunting and all that.
No. I mean, that's what's encouraging to me. That's the same that's the way I look at Freddie aging, as a player, is you watch how he moves and the effort he puts into everything. It always looks like about 80%. And that's how Charlie looks when he throws, and it's 97. Getting old, that's not easy to do.
The series finale, another really nice matchup. The series finale on Sunday afternoon, or Sunday night. It's going to be on Sunday Night Baseball. That is it Sunday night? Yeah, that's Sunday night, 7:20 Eastern. Trevor Bauer against Max Fried. That's a nice one. Trevor is the reigning Cy Young winner. He is 6-3 with a 2.24 ERA. 96 strikeouts already this year. We're 1/3 of the way into the season.
They're cracking down on the substances, right? Did you see that?
Yes, I did. They said Dr. Balls got pitchers with Dr. Balls could face suspensions. You think that'll clean things up in a hurry?
I'm interested to see it, because I know that all the stats gurus they'll be able to pump out numbers that show spin rates and all that. And I think it was yesterday it came out that the league said they're gonna notify everybody ahead of time and start letting them know like that they're gonna crack down on it. So I'm interested to see how that affects guys, because I mean Bauer's he's the best example. If he went out and claimed, I can add 400 RPM to my fastball, and then did it and won a Cy Young. So I'm interested to see if which guy he is without that stuff.
Makes you think Joe West knew in advance this was coming out before he confiscated that cap last week.
Yeah,
and then didn't they make Kimbrel change his cap too?
I don't know if they made him change it or they did actually, but then he still had a good inning.
Yeah,
I think he just uses like you get a lot of pine, like not pine tar, but just if you use rosin and you're going to your hat a lot and touching a lot. But Kimbrel's always had just a line straight down the middle of his hat, and it's not been an issue at all. I want to see, I want to see which guys fall off a cliff and which guys stay steady.
Yeah, it looked superficial with Kimbrel. It didn't look like it was a lump of substance, because I don't think he'd be that blatant about it if it was, something illegal, because you could see it on TV. You could see it from 50 feet away. Any manager, if they thought it was something illegal, like a clump of something, they could have just said, check his hat, because it's right there. So that makes me think it's always been, like you said, just him touching it all the time with stuff on his fingers, and not, it's just visible more than it is an infraction. But
I mean, so many guys use pine tar too. They weren't. I think that the thing that changed was the understanding of spin. Because for me, the logic all the time, and the hitters had it too, was they just wanted pitchers to have control so they don't hit guys in the head. Everybody's throwing 100 now. We want them to have that control. But once people really started digging in and seeing how much better spin makes your pitches, that's why they're cracking down on pine tar. Because I didn't know that when I played. I thought it was just like these guys are just using it to get a better grip. If I would have known that and gone back and could have seen the jump and spin and actual results and data for it, I would have jumped on the pine tar bandwagon and figured it out too.
Yeah, for hitters, it's like, we don't mind. It's gone from, we don't mind him having a little pine tar because it gives them enough control where they're not going to kill us. It's gone from that to, okay, now they got so much spin, so much pine tar, we can't hit it anymore.
We didn't know it was making their pitches better. Nobody knew that before. They just thought it was, okay, they can grip the ball better, who cares? But when you find out it's making their slider, break another 2 or 3 inches and you're swinging and missing.
And they're using more of it than ever, coming up with their own concoctions and all that, which we went over. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, this is obviously there's been such an outcry this year about offense being down that MLB's response. This is their response. They don't want to go the whole season with these numbers being what they are. I mean, there's going to be a lot of records broken if we continue at this pace.
Yeah, they're doing stuff that hasn't been done since the late 1800s or something.
It's not good for MLB to have 20 no-hitters in a year. They don't want that. No. They want the no-hitter to be special, just like anybody else. And it's not good for MLB for the batting average, league-wide to be like 220 something.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the first thing they've thrown out there that seems realistic, like moving the mound back, banning the shift, all these other ideas they throw out there. I kind of like, man, that's a huge change for the game.
Right.
But something as simple as just taking a little spin off the ball and making the pitchers all kind of have a level playing field with that. I don't really have a problem with it.
And this is not changing the rules. This is just following the rules.
It's following the rules. It's just enforcing a rule that's been there forever.
Right. Whereas the others are changing the game itself. So,
I mean, everybody knew when they were putting Vaseline on the ball, it was obvious the ball was falling, off the table when it was getting home plate and guys were throwing spitballs and taking that much spin off it,
but emery boards in their back pocket.
A nail file, all that stuff. They cracked down on that because you could see it immediately because it was so nasty. But as far as spin, you just give the pitcher credit, like, he spun that one well and it broke like it's supposed to. It's not doing anything foreign. It's just enhancing what it would already do. But I think it just kind of snuck under the radar until kind of all the analytics started coming out and everybody's realizing now, like, hey, spin is a huge factor.
Mm-hmm. One thing to keep an eye on with Trevor Bauer, he's already given up 13 homers, which is 4 more than he gave up last year in only 3 more innings that he's pitched so far.
He was pitching in Cincinnati last year, which is a lot easier place to hit a homer.
Yeah, and he's given up 13 this year. So
yeah,
1/3 of the way into the season. That's a lot of bombs for a guy with a 2.24 ERA. Shit.
Yeah, he's striking out a lot though.
Freddie will be facing the Dodgers. Yeah, he's got 96 strikeouts, man. Yeah. Freddie will be facing the Dodgers for the first time since Game 6 of the NLCS. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning of that game. But remember how tough he was the rest of the way? He went 6 2/3, didn't give up another run.
Yeah, he's a good matchup for him.
So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good series, man. The Saturday game is an afternoon game.
And I think it could be good for the team too to play somebody that knocked them out of the playoffs last year, a series that they'll really get up for. It could be good for them to have almost a playoff type of series just to go into and really see how they get amped up and respond to it.
Mm-hmm. It's time to make sure the schedule's right here. I think we have that. Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers were struggling for a while there. That would have been a good time to get them when they lost like 5 series in a row. Or we're all going, how in the world is that even possible? But that changed, and they got back to being.
They were in that same boat the Braves were in. They just nipped it in the bud a little earlier.
Yeah, just to correct, because I was looking at something off the Dodgers site, and they had the times wrong, man. Tonight's a night game, obviously Friday. Saturday is a night game, 7:15 here, 7:15 Eastern. Sunday is a day game. It's not an ESPN game, so it's 1:20 Sunday afternoon. I don't want to steer anybody wrong there. It was wrong on their site. So, all right, we what else we got here? Oh, I want to talk about Tucker Davidson, man. Tucker Davidson yesterday. Every time, you think you've got the rotation mapped out in your head for the next 2 or 3 years or what it could be, somebody steps forward like Huascar Noah and makes you rethink everything. Go, wait a minute then. Well, Tucker Davidson's done that. These 2 starts he's made this year. The first one was good against the Mets. Yesterday's was close to being great. I mean, for a young kid in his 3rd major league start, it was great. He didn't give up a hit till the 5th inning.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video of him throwing 100 miles an hour and some slider shorts or something like that. And I almost don't get as excited about guys when I see them just doing that. Yeah. I don't want to give him credit for being able to pitch until I see it. And I kind of expected him just to be another guy coming up and throwing 97 all over the place and walking some guys and not really pitching. But I mean, he's throwing that curveball slider combo he's throwing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite combos to throw to hitters because they see spin and then it does something different. I mean, it's almost the way you can change speeds and still throw a breaking ball. That's what Kershaw does. And that's what's kept his career going for as long as it has. And it reminds me a lot of Freed, how Freed can throw 2 different breaking balls. But he really pitches, he's not up there just humping up. I was really impressed with him yesterday, his pitchable.
Yeah, they had him work on the slider beginning last spring. They thought, his fastball was more mid upper 90s, but he was a 2-pitch guy mainly.
It's hard to do as a starter.
They had him work on that slider, and I guess during the pandemic shutdown, he really turned that into a good pitch for him. So he's another one of those guys that used that time wisely.
Yeah,
that he wouldn't have been able to do if it had been during a minor league season, probably. When he's going out trying to win games and impress. So there are isolated guys here and there where the pandemic actually did them favors. We talked about Michael Harris.
Yep.
How he used that time to work out with Marquise Grissom and get an invitation to the Braves summer camp when they are to the alternate site, and where he did much better there or benefited much more from being at the alt site than he would have from being in low A.
Yeah.
This is another guy that used that time wisely and honed that changeup or honed that slider. And when he came back, kept working on it during at the alternate site. And now it's a pitch, man. It's a legit good pitch.
It's good.
So now he's throwing 92, 94. He's not up there humping, like you said. He looked, he walked 5 guys, but I didn't really think that it was a real problem. He wasn't leading off the inning, walking a guy. I mean, it was more like Tom Glavine walks, if you will.
Well, you know what I was thinking about that though, with all the strikeouts now, walks don't bother me as much.
Yeah.
When guys were putting the ball in play and you do a leadoff walk and they get them over and then hit a bloop single or something like
Right,
that, but
right.
you got a really good shot of getting a strikeout at some point every inning.
Good point.
And so,
Yep.
walks, they should bother you, but they don't piss me off like they used to when guys were putting the ball in play. With all the strikeouts you get now, walks just one base.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate saying that out loud as a pitcher, but I was watching it and I was thinking same thing you were, like those walks really didn't hurt him too bad, even with 5. You can kind of get away with it in today's game more than you ever could in the past.
And another huge plus for him yesterday, and about him in general, is the pace that he works out.
He
The infielders, the defense loves it. He's up there working, man. And the game's so fast. And the other guy was too. So it was a really quick game. It made you long for those days when you'd have those 2.5-hour games, because it's just so much more enjoyable to watch a baseball game when both pitchers are working instead of getting up there and making between every pitch of production,
Yeah.
looking over, throwing 4 times to first base, shaking off the catcher 3 times, and just generally working slow as hell.
It's dreadful to watch those games.
Yeah. This guy was getting the ball, stepping up, boom, getting the ball, stepping up, boom, like a lot of the veterans do, the older guys used to.
Hitters hate that too.
Yeah.
Hitters want to get comfortable. They want time to collect their thoughts. And then when you're on the mound already ready to throw, it's like, they feel rushed, and you want them to feel that.
A lot of times they try to disrupt it and stop it and call time out just because they're like, no, we don't want this guy to get in a rhythm.
Yeah. They do that usually, once the guy's rolling by the 3rd or 4th inning, you'll see the hitters kind of adjust and start stepping off on them. But even then it's a win because they're having to they're getting desperate. So it's a good sign for you.
So he's up there, and it also gives off this air of this is a guy up there with confidence. He's not a young kid up there in a panic. He's the game slowing the game. He came into that. He's a former 19th round pick, Texan. He's from Amarillo, former 19th round pick. He had pitched just 7 2/3 innings in the majors before yesterday. You would have never known that the way he pitched. 2 starts. One of them was terrible last year against the Red Sox in September. And then, like I said, the one earlier this year was good against the Mets. Really efficient in that one. And then yesterday came out, and even though he had 5 balls, he was still pretty efficient. I mean, he's under 90 pitches for 5 2/3 innings. It's too bad he couldn't have got that last out and got the win. But as it turned out, bringing in Tomlin for that matchup was smart. Tomlin got the out, boom, got out of the inning. But he let him go. He was 3rd time through the order on this guy, so it was really encouraging for Tucker Davidson. I mean, he's earned, obviously. You put him right there with Bryce Wilson as far as who they can turn to when they need another guy. A lot of people expected Bryce to be the guy because he was on, they've been following the thing where they bring the guy up who's on schedule at AAA to start that game. So we had naturally looked at, okay, who's on schedule to start Thursday? So it'll be Bryce Wilson because they didn't announce it until Wednesday night. But what we weren't keeping in mind, what we weren't thinking about was the Braves had already, I found out yesterday, the Braves had already decided before this series that Tucker was going to get the spot start because they wanted to push it back where he would face the Dodgers. So they wanted to give the guys an extra day of rest and plug in another guy. Well, they had already decided on Tucker, and he was going to start Monday. But then they had that rain out Friday in New York. So that pushed it back to Tuesday. Then they had the rain out Sunday in New York. So that pushed it back, and they wanted Ian. So at that point, they said, Ian, let's just move Ian to instead of Thursday, let's have him start Friday. So that's how it ended anyway. He went from was going to start Monday to starting Thursday. And it obviously didn't affect him at all, having the extra rest and all that. So
I was wondering how much that affected the team. Having rain out, days off. That's another thing that, you don't want to make excuses, but that messes you up as a team, especially when you feel like you're starting to get going and then you have 3 days off and 5 days or whatever it was. That
it was 4 days in 7. They only played 3 games.
That's hard to do.
2 off days, 2 rainouts. I know. And they did feel like they were starting they were starting to kind of hit on all cylinders there for a while. It looked like. It reminded me of, not to the extreme so far, obviously, but
I know where you're
New York, New York, when the hurricane was coming through in North Carolina and New York thought it was going to get hit, and it did get flooding, but they shut everything down in New York. They shut the subways down. You guys got out just before they shut down the airport.
We were on our way to the field and everybody got a text, turn around.
Yeah.
pack your bags. We're getting out of town before this hits, and 3 days off, and all downhill from there.
And yeah, and then you guys had your September swoon, never recovered, and you were like, it was colossal. It was an epic fold. They were never the same after that. The Braves were never the same after that. I got out on literally the next to last flight before they shut down LaGuardia, or I would have been there another like 5 days.
Jeez.
Bowman went out that morning because I didn't think he was going to get out. He went out there, took a cab out just before Uber, took a cab out, and he called me and he said, I would try it. I just got on, and there's a couple more flights. And I was like, I'm going to go. Do I make the run for it? I was like, oh, I checked out of a hotel, got in the cab. We were like, there's hardly anybody on the roads too. We got to LaGuardia. It was like next.
Oh, you got there
flight.
quick. I was going to say, because you could, that's a big risky move, because you could get stuck in traffic for 2.5 hours and miss your flight.
There wasn't much traffic at all. Manhattan had already shut down. So you wasn't your typical 30 minutes to get out of the borough, to get out into the tunnel. So, but anyway, that's what, last week was starting to get that feel for me, when you had the rainouts, you had the off days, and then you had the Ozuna thing over, on top of everything Saturday night and the one game they played against the Mets. That happened during the game, or that news broke during the game. So
there's no excuses. Everything counts, but I just thought about that. Like that's kind of a hard thing to do in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Hey, before we move on from that Dodgers matchup, I wanted to mention, have you noticed what Pujols has done since he went over there?
Yeah.
He's not on fire or anything, but he has had some homers.
Yeah.
He hit 198 with 5 homers, 12 RBIs, and a 622 OPS in 24 games, 92 plate appearances for the Angels. Okay. Angels are still paying almost every dollar of his thing. I'll put the minimum salary. They're paying him whatever, 30 million.
500 grand.
Yeah. All but 500 grand. The Angels are still paying him. He's with the Dodgers. He's hit 225 with 3 homers, 10 RBIs in 13 games, 779 OPS, and 43 plate appearances. I mean, that's like as well as some of the Braves are hitting, those are like 3 homers, 10 RBIs in 13 games. They'll take that. I don't know if he can keep it up, but that's
probably woke him up a bit though, getting DFA'd, sure with his status.
He's got pride, man.
Yeah, he's got pride. That'll wake you up.
Guess who, by the way, led the majors in OPS in May? I'll give you 3 guesses, and I know you're not going to get it. Led the majors in OPS in May. Or in May.
Not Tatis?
Nope, that's one guess. It's close.
Same team?
Nope.
Damn, I don't know. Just tell me.
Yeah, because you take 10 guesses, you're not going to get this. Max Muncy.
I mean, he's been raking.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed him, though. I wouldn't have.
Exactly. You would have guessed other Dodgers or something. But Max Muncy, the Dodgers first baseman, hit 330 with 10 homers, a 440 OBP, and a majors leading 1155 OPS in 26 games in May. 330, 440 OBP.
He's a perfect example for me of when we talk about a guy that needs to play every day.
Yeah.
I was in Oakland with him. I thought he sucked.
Yeah.
This dude just going up and down between AAA and the big leagues, and he'd get a few at bats, and whatever he figured out when he went to LA, and they've been plugging him in and finding, they just found a way to get him in the lineup, second base, first base, throw him in the outfield or something here and there.
Yeah, he can play a few positions.
But getting him in the lineup every day now, I mean, he's turned into a star.
Second in MLB and OPS in May. You'd never pick this one either. Although he's raking. You'd never pick him though. Nick Castellanos of the Reds.
Damn. I would think Riley would be up there too.
Castellanos hit 409, 9 doubles, 5 homers, 24 games, 1143 OPS. You mentioned the Braves OPS leader in May, who I thought had a chance to be player of the month for a while. Well, he ain't gonna finish top 3 with the guys, some of the months that guys had. But he had a hell of a month. Austin Riley. He hit 311, 7th best month of his career. When he came up that May, when he's rookie of the month, that was only for 2 weeks, remember?
Yeah.
And then he kept raking for the first week of June, but then he fell off. So this is his best month of his career, easily. He, for the month of May, he hit 311, 7 homers, 15 ribbies, 394 OBP. Really impressive. 611 slugging. 1,005 OPS in 25 May games. 7th best OPS in the majors for the month.
Yeah.
I feel
after I watched that video of him on MLB Network,
yeah,
I feel like he's going to keep a lot of this up.
got a clue
maybe
what he's doing, doesn't he?
maybe not as hot as he's been, but the depth he went into with his swing and his adjustments and what if he fouled it back, what it was telling him, if he turned it over, what it was telling him, he had a key and an adjustment for every result he was getting.
Yeah.
And understanding, he said something I really liked about, he knows he's going to stride anyway, so he tries not to stride at all. And you have to do that as a player. You have to make these extreme adjustments, knowing yourself.
Because he knows he's going to stride.
He knows he's going to stride, so he tries not to stride at all, so his stride's not too big when he does stride.
Yeah.
But that's like the mental game of almost tricking yourself into doing things right, that it's pretty advanced. Even I know he's been in the league for a little while, but when I hear guys talk about stuff like that, those adjustments and the thought process it takes to get themselves to function right, and that he has all that on tap.
Yeah.
I watch him hit now and I have a different appreciation for it. He's not just a dude up there hacking.
As the veterans say, like Chipper, he's got an idea.
He has an idea.
Yeah.
He does. I was impressed with his whole interview.
There's quite a drop between first and second for the Braves and OPS for the month. And the guy who's second did it all basically in the last couple of weeks of the month, because Dansby Swanson was not doing much at all before he turned a corner. I mean, flipped the switch 2 weeks ago. The proverbial switch was flipped, and this guy looks good right now. He finished the month with an 876 OPS in 25 games, hit 290, 6 homers, 14 RBIs, and most of those homers have come here at the end. He just homered in back-to-back games this weekend, and he could have had or this week, and he could have had 3 homers in that, but Schwarber caught one at the top of the wall. That would have been 3 homers in 2 days for Dansby. He's looking good. He's hitting it up, going gap to gap and hitting up the middle.
That was the most nonchalant robbery I've ever seen.
I know. It wasn't going out, but it was going to hit the yellow.
Yeah, he just acted like that's what he does every day.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. You're Kyle Schwarber. Don't act like you can just.
That might be the new pimp job in the future, is actually acting like you've done it before with how far guys are taking it.
Bring it in, just jog in after that.
Yeah, then people are like mad at you for acting like you've done it all the time. They want you to celebrate.
But yeah, quite a drop for the Braves in OPS for the month, which I think says something about the lurching nature of their offense. Acuna, by the way, he hit 224 with an 842 OPS in May, which tells you how great his April was, because he's still OPSing like right at 1,000 or just below.
Yeah.
And
when he hits it, he does damage. He's not hitting wall. Like what the stuff he does when he does it it's always impressive.
The funny thing is that RBIs and the home runs are like identical for the 2 months. His scorching April and it's May. He still had 8 homers and 15 RBIs in an otherwise kind of May for him. He only had 224 with an 842, but he's got OPS, but he's got 8 homers, 15 ribbies. Big difference for him. 27 strikeouts with 10 walks and a 313 on base percentage in May. Compare that with April, when he had 15 walks and 14 strikeouts, 443 OBP in April. So that's night and day, the OBP, the strikeout to walk ratio. April, he was the player of the month in the NL. He had 341, had an 1148 OPS, 8 homers, the same. But the strikeouts to walks ratio was radically different.
Well, they're going to test him. There's not really a lot of places to go against him. So they're going to try to expand the zone and see if he wants to take those walks or not. I think it's all, his numbers are going to be a big factor for him. It's just whether he's willing to take the walks or not. Because not a lot of people are. I felt like the pitches he was taking in April, he was taking balls at, half an inch off the plate consistently. That's everybody's going to pitch him extremely careful. So it's testing to your patience as a hitter to keep waiting for something to hit. You want to do damage and not getting it.
And you've pointed out pitchers have taken note that he hates to be pitched inside, because every time he kind of glares, he kind of turns and all that, because he's frustrated, but he shows how much he hates it. So they know it gets him off his game.
Dude does that, man. You're going right back in there.
And they did it this weekend.
Yeah.
And he reacted the same way on a couple of those pitches, where he kind of reels, he turns around, he kind of looks at the pitcher,
glares out at the pitcher, steps out. I mean, that's really kind of a tell that you're not happy with this. And it's not like your opponent's going to react to that like shit.
Like,
I didn't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
I didn't want to piss him off. Let me go back down in a way where he likes it. If he tones that down, I think it'll help him. But either way, everybody knows that's the only place to really, that's going to be the game plan against him for probably the rest of his career.
Tell me, would that be different as a pitcher? Would it be different? And I don't know if a veteran would have reacted this way, but if you threw inside to a guy like Chipper Jones, for instance, if you threw a guy inside to a guy like that and he turned and glared at you, or Josh Donaldson did it a couple times, do you react differently than you do when a kid like Acuna, as much as he's terrific talent?
Yeah.
Do you react different when a veteran does it? Do you kind of than you would have?
No. The thing that gets me is if it's inside and they just act like,
right,
like they saw it the whole way. Right. And they tell you they're reading it well, and
they don't even
just
look at you. They just get in the box.
They just spit on it and act like this dude sucks. That for me is like, shit, that didn't have any effect.
Right.
But when the dude's storming around, you think,
right,
all right, it just gives you confidence. Like, all right, maybe outside is open more. Yeah. So then you're more confident when you go back out there. When you throw a fastball into somebody like Chipper and he just, maybe it misses him by a couple inches and he just kind of turns away from it like it was nothing. Like, this dude throws slop. When you send that message to the pitcher, that's a lot more effective to me. Because now I'm like, shit, that didn't even have an effect. He saw that the whole way. It didn't even make him uncomfortable. So, when Acuna reacts the way he does, you're thinking, all right, now he's pissed. Now he might get big. Now if I go back in there, it'll piss him off more. So just the mentality as a pitcher, when you see a guy react like that, it had an effect. Like he tips his hand a little bit.
And I can think of several veteran sluggers who, even if you hit them, don't even look at the pitcher. And they know, and it's hurt. They'll get hit in the forearm or whatever, and they get to first base and just grit the teeth and bear it, and they don't say a word. And you can tell them, tell the first base coach, that shit hurt, man.
Yeah, those are the guys. For me. That's the move.
Yeah, to me that would be more effective too. You're like, whatever, dude.
When you see it get him off his game plan, even if it doesn't, even if he's going to dive back out there the next pitch, you still have more confidence. Like, oh, he didn't like that. It gives you something to think about and play off of versus, man, he saw that the whole way and thought it was slop and it didn't even affect him. I got nothing.
He's not even worried about me hitting him.
Yeah, he's not even afraid of me. Yeah, I'm trash.
Cam, you got some ass to sell, man?
Cam, actually, there? I'm here. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. Anymore? I mean, we have a couple ads, but I'd rather just keep going. Unless we need to get some coffee.
No, I don't need to get any coffee.
Yeah, let's just keep rolling.
Do we have any silver spoon, magic spoon cereal to sell?
I would every time it's either
silver to send me to ship to me. I should say.
I do need to follow up on that because I know how much you love the peanut butter cup one. I think solid. Do we want to in this pod get to the intros at all?
Yes. We want our loyal listeners to hear the options that we're going to get to replace Cam's god awful introduction that we've used now for 2 years, 2.5 years.
Your version, Dave.
How long have we done this thing? 2 years? This podcast?
I think it's about 2 years.
We've done this podcast for 2 years, and we have subjected our listeners to that ridiculous introduction, which was so bad that I didn't want to say anything because I thought somebody might be doing the voiceover from headquarters, from the athletics offices. So I didn't want to complain about it, But when I found out it was Cam, I should have known because I know Cam's voice, but he took it exaggerated it for this thing. So I should have.
It's the audio effect on the voice. No, I didn't do anything. I did not do anything different.
Sounds like a strip club announcer.
Exactly. Trying to sound like Mr. Professional voiceover guy,
Maybe that's the energy that we kind of want. Maybe to, jazz things up the strip club energy. No,
nothing about your introduction that we want connected with this show going forward. I want everyone to know that we never had a choice and that you're
making the choice now 2 years later, though.
I would have said something a lot earlier if I didn't think somebody from the Athletic did it, or rather somebody other than you, because it's terrible. The way the thing went was, and you guys have heard it. I know it's like screeching like fingernails on a chalkboard for everybody, I'm sure. But he goes, 7:55 is real with David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty. I'm like,
Click
Jesus,
X.
what is that? A bad movie? God,
A bad movie.
Close.
were you like
close
drunk
that.
when you did that one night? Did you tell your wife, oh, let's do one of these? 7:55 is real.
You guys make me drink sometimes, so it adds up.
Brian, Eric O'Flaherty. My God, the guys that the band, like Jason Isbell, told me we could use this song, and
He took it away, didn't he? When
yeah, when he heard that introduction, he's like,
play that shit to my music.
and my boys from
Algiers.
They probably have sold fewer albums because of your goddamn introduction, man.
I feel terrible because Underside of Power is a fantastic song. I can't believe I mutilated it to that extreme.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Well, thanks for the backdrop
on
on all this shit and lambasting me. I appreciate it. But if we want to do these now, I have them teed up.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, the second option that you had, the psychedelic thing, I just think you must have done some drugs and tried that one because that one.
I think he did that just to mess with you. He was just
that
messing
was
with
bad.
you on that one.
7:55, 5.
Well, you do it well. Your imitation's great. I have it queued up here for those who have not listened to it. So
all right,
I'm going to play it, and then we're going to go through the other three I have as well. And, Eric kind of gave it away. Some of these are a bit more fun just to kind of poke at you for telling me how shitty I am and how awful the intro was. So
don't give up your day job to become a voiceover guy.
Fuck no, that is not in the cards. But
Good.
here are the four that we have, and then we'll decide from these. All right, here we go. 7:55 is real. With David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty.
Terrible.
That's better
terrible.
That's better than.
Okay, so lesser of two evils.
That's all it took to beat the
better,
first one.
only because the first one can't possibly be worse. That's why it's better. But that's like, that's abrasive. If somebody listens to that in the morning or like in their office, they're going to have people running over to their cubicle. What the hell's that? No, you can't play that. No, that's not good, dude.
Well, you'll love this one then. Okay, Here we go.
7:55. 7:50
is real with DOB.
Fingernails on a goddamn chalkboard, man.
And
he's out in Washington State.
Eric O'Flaherty
on The Athletic.
Oh my God. I actually kind of like that one. oh my.
While you're still recovering, let me jump to the next one. 7:55 is real. Or is it? Just kidding, it is. With David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty on The Athletic. Or is it?
No.
Yeah, I got nothing for that one.
That was experimental. All right.
That was a waste of time.
And here's the last one. 7:55 is real. With David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty on The Athletic. You thought this was going to be an intro without any EDM or any crazy stuff. Let's hit it.
My response is the very end there. That's my response.
Just silence or explosions or
explosions,
blow your head up. Okay.
If those are the options, then I'm going to make sure that you get fired.
Okay, so why don't we compromise and just do the first half of that last one, which is welcome to 7:55 is real with David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty on The Athletic.
There you go. Not that hard.
Right. You could try to put a little bit of personality into
it. Well, you guys kind of sucked the life out of me with this. So
you got anybody else that could try?
I have asked so many people, and I told them just how high the bar's set because of all the shit I was getting, and they're like, "Nah, we're not going to."
No, the bar's not set that high.
Subject ourselves to that.
You set the bar so
low. All right.
I mean, we'll do it ourselves. We can do it ourselves. Eric, let's choose a new one. It'll take us 30 seconds to do one better than Cam did.
Yeah,
You
we'll
wanna
make
do
our
it?
own.
Here we
We'll
go.
make our own.
Welcome to 755. Or no, because that's what I say at the start. Look, so we just need to a thing. Here we go. Ready? This is going to be the new introduction to the show. Or if it's better than Cam
with psychedelic music. Is that
no?
Oh,
I want
okay.
the Jason Isbell and Algiers. We'll do you could do alternate.
I
between the
kind of
two.
like the EDM, but okay.
Algiers is a great intro for this one, and you use
Underside
Jason
of Power
for
is a fantastic song. Yes.
right, and you use Jason for the bumper music as they
Yep.
call it. Whatever. 755 is real with David O'Brien and former Braves reliever Eric O'Flaherty is on the air now.
Done.
All right,
Okay.
cool. We'll put that in, and we'll see what the listeners say.
It's better than yours.
You know what?
Great, but it's better than yours. That's all
I don't
can
know.
say.
I think this was kind of the selling point.
State.
Eric O'Flaherty.
I think they may like that one best. I think
the one who tried was actually pretty funny.
Did you hear the soundbite I used after your name?
Yes.
Nails on a chalkboard.
On a goddamn chalkboard.
Do that one again.
With DOB.
Fingernails on a goddamn chalkboard, man.
I kind of like that.
No, people will be offended by constant use of GD. That's
Yeah.
don't.
Yes, they will. All right. Let's get back to the show and finish it up here. This is a good distraction.
Thanks, Cam.
And we could do another one. I'll do another one with Eric later if you really are.
I'll pull the one you used.
Dude,
We'll
I
toss
can't
it in.
believe you're so bad at this that you can't do a better one than that. That I did it better in one
This-
try, and I know you spent hours doing yours.
You sound like my
literally spent
parents.
30 I
How much
literally
doing
time
spent
went
30
into that?
I
How
literally
much time
spent
went
less
into
than
that?
30 seconds. 30 seconds doing it. Less
Honestly,
than
how
that.
much time went into that, Cam?
It's
Tell
been
us.
2 years. I don't know.
No, how much? Time
Probably
went
it probably took me the 2 years to get it right. I've been slowly putting in new voiceovers every single recording, and you guys just haven't caught on.
Well, I haven't. But how long did it take you to do the initial one, the one that was so bad?
I don't know. It's been 2 years.
It
Probably-
took you hours?
probably
he doesn't
like
want to say
hours?
it was 45 takes.
It took you 3 days, didn't it?
I think 45 takes is a little generous. I'd go the over.
And that's what came out. That
Me
was the
being
final
facetious.
product.
Cam, did your girlfriend ever listen to that and just go, "That's really bad, Cam. You can do better."
It's funny you think that she listens to my work, because if you
Oh,
think
yeah.
that was bad, imagine
Yeah.
living with me though and hearing me all the time.
Oh, that's true.
Do you talk like this all the time? Like you like, can I get some cheese? Or do you just say like,
Can I get some
Can I get some
cheese?
cheese?
Can
Yeah.
I get
Do you
some
talk
cheese?
like that all the time, or is it like?
I'm not talking like that right now.
A little
Honey, you need to go to the store and get some beer
bit.
before I do the show.
So not only have I been portrayed as a shitty producer, well, not even portrayed, everyone knew I was a shitty producer, but a shitty
Why, just 'cause it
voiceover
takes you
attempt,
7
but now
hours to
an
spin the store
alcoholic
around?
too, getting beer at 6 a.m.
gonna-
before the
just-
show.
I'm just
I hope you have some
just to
issues.
prove how bad you are at this. I'm gonna knock out one more that's better than yours, and I'll do it.
You just
50
like hearing yourself talk, but okay, go
No,
ahead.
but I want if you are going to use mine, I want it to be a little better. Before we get back to the show, I'm not good at this either at doing these things, but I'm better than you at it.
Well, that's a
Here-
granted. That's a given.
and Eric,
Everyone's
you wanna
better than
jump
me.
in, and you want to do this with me? Or
I'm
you're-
good.
All right.
Eric's
I'm
just
on
ready to
board,
get the
Dave.
fuck out.
All right, here we go. All right, be quiet. 7:55 is real with David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty is on the air now. All right.
He's
All right,
on-
I'll put it in.
I don't know why I say is on the air like we're on a
Yeah,
radio
we're not.
broadcast. Sure,
Yeah.
That's take number 2, David. That's starting to add up. It's getting up there.
That's 2 that's better
Just,
than all the ones you tried.
Just saying. I mean, it wasn't a one-take wonder.
All right,
So
let's get back to the show. We've lost like all our drop off. It's going to
Yeah.
be like precipitous on that. We got a couple more things to wrap up here.
They already left.
We were talking about Braves in the month of May, and I know you said you're not. Actually, let's look at a couple of the Dodgers. We're talking about Muncy coming in with 10 homers in May. For the year, this dude he's leading the Dodgers in OPS for the year now. This guy's hitting Muncy 268, but he got a 428 OBP. He's got a 964 OPS, which is what, 100 and almost 140 points higher than Betts. I know everybody's down on Freddie and worried about the year he's having. Is the contract hanging over him? But Mookie Betts isn't having a much better year with the Dodgers. He's hitting 264, 5 homers, 20 ribbies, and an 828 OPS. So, I mean, Freddie's got to beat with the homers and RBIs, that's for sure.
Check back in September.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's how I look at it.
Mookie's got 32 strikeouts, 28 walks. So he's got a solid 378 OBP. So he and Freddie are having kind of similar seasons. I mean, the 1-2 guys in MVP last year. So,
you know, the other thing about it too is even if Freddie finished this year hitting 255 or 260 and got hot in the playoffs.
Yeah. People
all erased.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, free agent status, all that stuff, you go big in the playoffs or even finish the year strong. He could do this until August and then get hot in August, and it's too late to salvage the back of the baseball card, but hit like himself and your stock's right back up.
Yep, I agree. He could turn it around. It's only 2 months. I mean, he could go another month slow and then have a great second half and get his stuff back pretty close to his normal.
Even a good second half, not even great, just look like himself again. Good for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, he had a rough first half. It's easy to dismiss that stuff once you get back to normal.
Freddie in May, for those curious, he hit 233 with a 355 OBP and a 788 OPS. He had 5 homers, 11 RBIs, 22 strikeouts and 16 walks. I was talking to Seitzer the other day about Freddie, and he said some things he was getting out of that. Unlike Freddie, he was starting to chase some balls that he never does before. He usually spits on those balls inside, on those pitches inside, and he hunts that fastball in the outer half and rakes, kills it. He said he was starting to get away from that, and you could tell maybe he's getting frustrated, and people were getting him on inside. He was chasing a little bit more and swinging at some of those inside pitches that he can't do much with, and getting ahead of him, getting ahead in the count. And you see him missing some stuff away too that he doesn't miss as a result. He's just a little bit out of sorts for Freddie.
Well, that's kind of what happens too when you see those numbers up on the scoreboard when you walk up. You got a hole to climb out of. It's really tempting as a player to try to do it all in one day. It's hard to sit here and say, well, if I have 2 okay months, I'll be back in where I'm supposed to be, or try to get 12 hits in the next 3 days, and then you start chasing and pressing, and that's a trap a lot of guys fall into. But he's had some games where they've put it up there. He's hit every ball 100 miles an hour and been 0 for 4.
Yeah.
He's had some bad luck too.
Yeah. Hey, we were talking about the bad luck in especially in the first month. He was like the unluckiest hitter in the majors, or close to it, with a hard hit rate and expected batting average, WOBA, all that stuff. He was expected WOBA. He was. I mean, statistically, you can look at some numbers that point to and go, he's like as unlucky as anybody in the majors. That's fallen off a little bit lately, but he's still hitting. Like the other day, he had 3 hard hit outs that were like 105 miles an hour or higher, that were outs.
Which those are easier to swallow when you're not in a free agent year.
Yes.
That was kind of like that pressure I was talking about. If you got 4 years left on your contract and you're hitting 220 in mid-May, it's a lot easier to say, well, I'll get it going. But when you're going into a free agency, you got to look at it like, if I continue to do this for the rest of the season, it could cost me 50 million, 100 million. It could keep me from coming back to this team. I could be, there might be a team that I want to play for that's not looking for me. And players hate to admit that they think about those things, but you can't help it.
Yeah. And especially he's at kind of this is kind of the worst age to be at in the game right now for him to be in a situation where he's at, where he said he wants to stay here, spend his whole, and he's in his head. I'm sure he's always thought, I'm going to spend my whole career here. I think, I'm going to be a chipper. If I want to be here, they're going to want to keep me. So, and he's probably looking around baseball and seeing, well, what happens to free agents when they hit the market at age 31? And especially if they're coming off their worst year. Not good. All of a sudden you're like, everything's changed in his head from what he probably was thinking in the off season. Yeah. I mean,
it's just a different mindset that guys aren't
50 million,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it could really cost, I don't know. I mean, you look at it, the dude's already made 100 something. He's good. what do you need more
Well,
for?
yeah. But still,
You
I
know,
mean,
it's yeah,
this is his last contract, probably,
yeah,
unless he goes somewhere on a 1-year deal and then hit free agency again.
yeah.
But
But even Josh Donaldson, if Josh Donaldson didn't have that down year when he had it, if he'd
Mhm.
stayed hot, I mean, he would have got 5 or 6 years. He wound up having a great year with the Braves and taking 3
yeah,
after. I mean, that's just the difference it makes when you start getting a little older. Teams are really wary of that aging player.
hey, so here's something. If you're a Braves fan and you want to feel good about something, about where the team's at right now, I got a stat for you. The last 15 days in the National League, the Braves have 4 of the top 15 OPSs in the National League. They got 4 of the 15 guys that have OPSed over 1,000 for the last 15 days. That's pretty impressive, man. That's a lot of guys going at once, so to speak.
Yeah,
which
kind
they
of what
did
you've
not
grown
have
to
early.
expect, but it hasn't been there most of the year.
Right. So, I mean, that's the best stretch they've had as far as having multiple guys going. But you talked about Albies. Albies in the last 15 days, he's had 10 games. He's had 10 games. He's hit 385 with 10 extra base hits, or 8 extra base hits. I'm sorry, 14 ribbies in 10 games, 3 homers, 1224 OPS. That's second in the National League behind Tatis. Tatis 1365. So Albies is second, 385, 1224 OPS. Then you got Austin Riley. He's 7th in the National League in the last 2 weeks in OPS, 1123. He's hit 316 in that stretch, 5 homers, 13 RBIs in 10 games. Right. So the Braves have the fewest games of any of these guys, these leaders in that because there's so for them to have 4 and also to do it with all those off days, like you talked about in the rainouts, that makes it even more impressive. And then they've got Acuna is 9th in the National League in the last 15 days. He's hit 325 with a 1,079 OPS, 4 homers, 10 RBIs in 10 games, 13 runs scored, by the way. And how many stolen bases? 3 stolen bases. He started running again.
Yeah.
He started running again. It's not too late for him to get back on that, threatened 40. Remember that year, a couple of years ago, where he came out of the All-Star break and had like 7 or 8 steals in the first couple of weeks out of the break, and then he's got the hamstring problems. That was the year he flirted with 40-40. I mean, he was on an incredible pace coming out of the All-Star break for stolen bases. So you had Acuna 9th, and then 15th is Dansby Swanson. He's hit 308 with 1,009 OPS in that stretch, 4 homers, 9 RBIs in 10 games, and 692 slugging. So, I mean, that's half their lineup right now going at once, the last 2 weeks. So if you get some good pitching like you had yesterday, you got a chance to get on a little roll if you can keep that going. And and Shane Green should come off as soon as tonight. They could activate him, if not today, then tomorrow, I would think. He made his appearance the other day, and it sounded like they're close to activating him. And that wouldn't surprise me if they do that today.
Well, getting him back is going to be big too, because if he's pitching like he has in the past, that can slot another guy into that keep it close role. That's over. You want a guy overqualified pitching when you're down 2 runs, keeping you in the game and giving this team, and the offense gets going. You start seeing some of those comeback wins. I mean, you watch the season, they could easily, there's 10 games that could have been won or lost, that if one thing was just going right that day, that we're not even having all the conversations we're having about them not being able to get going. That's how close it's been.
If they just won the type of games that we've talked about them winning the last 3 years.
All the time. If they just won some of them,
right.
like 70% of those that instead it just hasn't gone their way.
By the way, they've got 4 guys, looking at this further, they've got 4 guys with OPS is higher than the Dodgers highest in the last 2 weeks. The Dodgers guys are 17th and 18th. Max Muncy and Mookie Betts at 990 and 945 in that stretch. And Muncy's at 238 with a 990. So, I mean, offensively, Braves right now are the last couple of weeks are way ahead of the Dodgers as far as having half the lineup going at once. So we'll see if that continues. But you got some guys that are raking right now, man.
What if they sweep them? I mean, just even
Stranger
if their record's not where you want it, if they do something like that for me would erase a lot. Or you take 2 out of 3, but it's convincing. I mean, I just want to see this team play the way they're capable.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
And by the way, another thing that's crazy, man, is Ozzie Albies right now. His right-handed swing. They're facing, by the way, 4 straight lefties. They faced 2 of them. They got 2 more coming up with the Dodgers. They hadn't done that in a few years. Faced 4 straight lefties, and nobody's happier than I wrote this today than Albies, because Albies, as Snit said, if there's a better hitter against left-handed pitcher in the majors than Ozzie Albies, I don't know who it is. I mean, he's so much better from that side.
Yeah.
And right
well,
now,
when he was struggling early in the year, I felt like I never even saw him get to hit right-handed.
Right. It was
especially
so rare.
in big at bats. Like if he came up with runners on, it was always left-handed.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like once a week he would face a left-hander. It seemed like, and guys were bringing in relievers and everything. He wasn't facing any of them at all. He's got that swing going now, which is his natural side. And he's,
yeah.
This is, and every time he does this is when everybody screams, why didn't he stop? Why don't he just hit right-handed? Because the numbers are so, but they're not.
Because he's not hitting this well off of righties,
right?
Exactly.
Right-handed. Yeah, they don't.
There's reason he switch hits.
That. Right, but it's got it's 13 hits in his last 25 at bats against lefties, and 7 of them are for extra bases. He was 3 for 4 yesterday, Thursday, including 3 hits off lefties. First and 6th inning singles off Corbin. The 6th inning was part of that 4-run inning, had an RBI, and then a 7th inning RBI double off the lefty Sam Clay. So. Yeah, lefties right now, he's killing them, man.
Yeah.
Just looking at his career, by the way, career stats, Ozzie against lefties, he has hit 343 with a 373 OBP, 585 slugging, 928 OPS. So he's hit 343 with a 928 OPS in 499 career plate appearances against lefties. Against righties, in about 3 times as many plate appearances, 1478 plate appearances. He's hit 252 with a 315 OBP, 437 slugging, 752 OPS. So 206 points less in the OPS, and 91 points less in a batting average. So
big difference.
Yeah. Not everybody can be Chipper Jones and have the exact same batting average against lefties and righties.
No.
Freak.
Hall of Famer.
That's why you're first ballot and they're unanimous Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But hey, give it Albies time, man. He's got a lot of career left before him, and I have a feeling those numbers will get a lot closer over the years.
Yeah,
especially if you have some years where they're facing more left-handers, because you know how cyclical that is. There could be years where in your division you have every team's got 1 or 2 left-handed starters, and other years where there's hardly any left-handed starters.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's how April felt for him. It was he just wasn't getting a chance to hit from the right side.
So, all right. Well, this is going to be a big series for the Braves. Obviously, the Dodgers. We'll see. I think they have a better feeling. We've said this before, but I think they will have a better feeling of where they stand coming out of the series on Monday, even though it's not a division series. But it's a big one before they go on the road again. And it's going. I'll be curious. They got their best 3 pitchers, their most consistent guys going in the series. So,
yep,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's going to be. I think it's going to be sold out all 3 days. I think it is sold out. So, all right, 7:55 is real, and we will talk to you guys again on Monday. We're out.
All right.